This painting might seem normal, with two ambassadors surrounded by symbols of their success. But there's a twist. Hidden within this masterpiece is a distorted smear that, from the right angle, reveals a chilling skull. It's a memento mori reminding us that no matter how impressive we seem, death awaits us all. Maybe it's just me, but have you ever looked at a famous Renaissance painting and felt like there was something more to it than meets the eye? The great masters of the Renaissance were experts at hiding secret messages and symbolic meanings within their artwork. And today, we're going to uncover some of the most fascinating hidden messages that they didn't want you to see. I believe you'll start to see that these paintings were often much more than just pretty pictures. Now, you might be wondering, if these hidden messages are so important, why aren't they more widely known? Well, the truth is, the artists of the Renaissance were often working under the watchful eye of the Catholic Church and other powerful institutions. And these authorities didn't always appreciate the artist's more subversive or questioning interpretations of religious and political themes. So the artists had to get clever. They started embedding their hidden messages in subtle symbols, cryptic imagery, and even mathematical patterns that only the most discerning viewers could decipher. And over the centuries, many of these coded meanings have been forgotten or overlooked. But not anymore. Let's start with a classic, the Sistine Chapel. According to author and Vatican scholar Roy Dollinger, who spent 6 years investigating Michelangelo's work, the artist secreted away a rather cheeky symbol, a small angel known as putti, making the Renaissance equivalent of giving someone the middle finger behind the back of the prophet Zechariah. The gesture is simply to close the fist by placing the thumb between the index and middle fingers. Why on earth would Michelangelo do that? Well, it turns out that Zechariah was modeled after the reigning pope at the time, the notoriously ruthless and tyrannical Pope Julius II. It was Michelangelo's way, Dollinger argues, of insulting the pope in a subtle way. The gesture is so small that's difficult to see from the ground, which would be the only way the pope would have ever seen it. You might say, now then it's impossible, Michelangelo would have never done that. Well friends, Michelangelo often made fun of people in his works. We don't even have to travel far to see another case. When the artist was working on The Last Judgment, the Pope's Master of Ceremonies, Biagio da Cesena, after previewing the work, he said, "It is truly shameful that all those naked figures were depicted in such a sacred place. It is not a work for a papal chapel, but rather for public baths and taverns." Michelangelo replied, "Leave a like and subscribe to this channel," and then immediately worked Cesena's face from memory into the scene as Minos, judge of the underworld, with donkey ears indicating foolishness, while a coiled snake covers his nudity. Now, let's shift our focus to another Renaissance master, Botticelli, and take a closer look at one of his early paintings, The Adoration of the Magi. On the surface, this work depicts the biblical story of the three wise men visiting the infant Christ. But if you have a little biblical knowledge and an understanding of the 15th century Florentine society, you'll notice that those wise men are actually members of the powerful Medici family. In fact, the man kneeling directly before the baby Jesus is none other than Cosimo de' Medici himself. So Botticelli is using this religious narrative to communicate the power structures and status symbols of Renaissance Florence. But that's not even the most intriguing hidden message in this painting. If we shift our gaze to the right side of the canvas, we see two figures who seem uninterested in the central biblical scene. The older man is Gaspar Dall'Ama, a financial broker who worked with the Medici and commissioned this painting. By including himself in this work of public art, he is asserting his own proximity to power and status in the city. But the really fascinating detail is the younger man standing next to him. That's Botticelli himself, in a self-portrait. By inserting himself into this grand religious tableau, Botticelli is making a bold statement. Artists are not just hired hands, but valuable members of the community, worthy of the same recognition and prestige as the bankers and nobility. It's a subtle yet powerful proclamation of the artist's place in Renaissance society. At first glance, Perseus with the head of Medusa, as the name implies, features two faces, mythological Greek hero Perseus and hideous snake-haired Gorgon Medusa. But if you take a peek at the back of Perseus' helmet, sculptor Benvenuto Cellini left a little surprise. Hello, it's Cellini's bearded self-portrait. Cellini also signed his name on Perseus' belt, just in case anyone forgot who made this bronze masterpiece. Google Arts and Culture partnered with England's Royal Academy of Arts to create the scan, which is actually the closest original copy of Da Vinci's work thought to have been created by his pupils. With the new resolution, art historians notice some key details hidden in this copy. Next to Judas' right arm is spilled salt, considered in Italy as a bad omen, and I can personally confirm. Also, Peter is holding a knife, which could be foreshadowing the fact that he will cut off a soldier's ear trying to stop Jesus' arrest. But perhaps the most mind-bending hidden message in Renaissance art can be found in another master, Jan van Eyck, in his famous painting, the Arnolfini portrait. At first glance, this might seem like a straightforward portrait of a wealthy married couple, but if you look closely at the background, you'll notice some intriguing details. First, there is some writing on the wall that reads, Jan van Eyck was here, 1434, essentially the artist's signature or tag within the painting itself. But the real hidden gem is in the small convex mirror. Using a magnifying glass, you can make out a tiny reflection that appears to be a self-portrait of Van Eyck himself, capturing the entire scene. It's an astonishing technical feat, but it also raises some fascinating questions. Was Van Eyck trying to assert his own artistic prowess by inserting himself into the work? Or perhaps he was using the mirror as a sort of legal witness to the marriage depicted in the painting? In art, there are many symbols such as those in Hieronymus Bosch's paintings. If you want to find out what these bizarre structures mean or what the people in this strange painting are doing, I recommend you watch this video.